Well, next we don't have somebody from MCI. We actually have Stew Leonard Jr. Some of you in the Northeast might know who that is. He's the president of Stew Leonard's, which according to Ripley's Believe It or Not, is the world's largest dairy store. In recent years, the store has been recognized as one of America's best-run companies, including in the bestsellers Passion for Excellence and Thriving on Chaos. Actually, Stew's store began in 1923 when Stew's grandfather decided that he was going to have home delivery in the milk business. In 1969, Stew's father expanded it into a retail store. So today, Stew Leonard's has annual sales of almost $200 million. They employ 1,300 people and have, get this, they have 13 million people visit their store each year, and they are the #1 tourist attraction in the state of Connecticut. Stew actually grew up in the family business. He started at his father's side and has worked every job in the store. That includes cleaning milk cans, stocking shelves, managing the store, and even filling in as the costume character, Wow the Cow, that greets you at the door. Ladies and gentlemen, I've known Stew for a while, as do some of you, but I'm really pleased to bring him here for you today, Stew Leonard.
Good morning. Hi. Thank you very much. I know I was out having coffee and breakfast with you all, and everybody asked me, what do you do? And I told them, that I was in the food business. And they said, what are you doing here? We lay fiber optic cable and stuff like that. And, pretty much I sell fish and milk and eggs and tomatoes. And I heard Sherry up here, and she's mentioning, DDN and RTR and DCX. And frankly, I don't even know what any of them are. Sherry, I bet you don't know what a VRT is. That's a vine-ripened tomato. What I want to do, though, is I grew up, as John mentioned, in the business, and I'm thrilled that you invited me to come here. We're in just a little window between selling lots of Christmas trees and getting ready to sell a lot of food for the Christmas holidays right now. And it's great to be out here in Phoenix at a place like this. This is really something else. And I'm real excited to be with you today. And I just would like to share a little bit about what we do in the food business. And I think the reason that John asked me to come is that we're real fanatics on customer service in our stores, and also change. That's really something I think my father really implemented that culture in our company, because we were always the little guy, and we were the little tiny store, and there were big chain stores all around us, and we had to do things quick, and so that's what we want to keep doing today, is new ideas and get them done as fast as possible. I want to start out first and just mention, I want to tell you that I'm not, a professional speaker. Some of you probably could say, yeah, we know that, already. But I'm in the food business. I mean, I work in the store every day, and I was asked to give a speech for Tom Malone at Milliken Textiles. It started, I guess, about 6 years ago. And he said, Stu, could you come on down and, speak at the meeting we're having, and on quality and customer service? And I said, Tom, I don't go out and give speeches, like that, and get on a plane and fly somewhere. He said, Stu, come on down. He said, I'll be your coach. He said, you'll learn a lot. You can attend all the seminars. He said, all you got to do is give a little 20-minute speech. Well, I fly down there with my wife, and I'm all nervous. And the night before my talk, I check into the hotel, and I asked the bellman, could you show me where the meeting's going to be that Milliken's having? And they walked me into a room like this, with this big fancy stage and big screens and all these chairs lined up. And there were over 400 chairs. I never asked them how many people I'd speak to. I thought it was normal, like 20 or 30 or something. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like a real speech I got to give. And just then this guy comes walking up to me and he said, sir, I'm sorry. He said, this room is closed till the meeting begins in the morning. And I said, well, you know, I'm Stew Leonard Jr. I said, I just wanted to peek around the room. I'm supposed to speak in the morning. He said, you're Stew Leonard Jr.? He said, where's your slides? He said, didn't you read the memo I sent to your store that said I needed your slides down here 3 weeks prior to your arrival? You know, and sort of like you, I mean, I didn't have the heart to tell him we don't really read memos, you know. We'd rather do it rather than read it, you know. So I reached down in my bag, I took my slides out and I handed them to him. I'll never forget what he did. He took one of them out and he looked at it up in these bright spotlights. He looked at one of my slides and he looked back at me and he said, who took these? And I looked back and I said, you know, I took them, and I reached down and even showed him the camera here that I took them with, you know. I carry this all the time, and I went around the store, they needed slides, I took the slides, you know. And he looked back at me, he said, these are the most unprofessional slides I've ever had to work with. And he just walked back behind this big stage type of thing. Now that's not what you call a pep talk, you know. And all night I'm shaking like a leaf. I get up to give my speech in the morning, and they put me on right after Joe Girard. This guy's a maniac car salesman. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records, and he's singing on tables, and I'm sitting there like, yeah, I got to speak after him. And I get up on stage, and I give a little talk about our store. I go walking off, and the same guy who I met the night before now comes walking up to me with a big smile on his face and his hand stretched out. And he looked at me, he said, Stu, don't change a thing. He said, your slides match your speech perfectly. So one of the things I brought for all of you today, guess what? You know, I have a few slides. And they're going to be the most unprofessional ones you'll see in the whole meeting, I guarantee it. And actually, I'm pretty proud of it, too. Here's like, if you're driving into our store, you'll see this. You know, where's Bill LaPerche? Where's Bill? Bill is a great customer of ours. I just met him this morning. But here's one of our big road signs that you'll see. And when you drive into the store, you'll see it bottled milk, 79 cents a half gallon. That's a blockbuster price for milk. You know, we bottle all our own milk fresh right in the store. I was talking, and we use this for marketing, you know, with you know, put all our specials, and this is as a draw to get customers to come in. And when I was telling everybody, I was coming out to MCI, and I was telling them about what your Independence Day goal is, and they see all the ads on television, and you know, MCI's big time, billions of dollars. I was telling them I was coming out, what could we do special for all of you today? And we were bouncing ideas, maybe bring some cookies or stuff, you know, but not all the way from Connecticut. So we came up with an idea. We changed the road sign, and I'll show you what we put up on the road sign instead. We love MCI. Now, since I am like a marketing sales kind of guy because I'm a retailer, and I just have to share one thing with you, is that as soon as we went out and took this slide of the road sign, we ran right back in the store and said, quick, get the milk back up on the road sign. Hey, we don't love MCI that much. You know what? Here's how we began here way back when, was we started out delivering milk. Like John mentioned, my grandfather delivered milk, actually, horse and wagon. My father took the business over, and he started with these milk trucks. And to add a little zip to the business, he put cow heads on the front of the trucks. And the slogan way back was, you wave, I'll moo. Hey, don't forget, you invited me out here to this. I wasn't just happened to be in Phoenix today. The little kids would run out on the front porch, and milk truck driver would wave. I mean, the kids would wave, and the driver pulled the lever in the car, and out of the grill would come a moan. So these went around town. Now, if someone did a great job delivering milk, they were allowed to take home the company car. For 1 month, they got to drive it, all expenses paid, and here's what that looks like right here. That cow mooed too. Now, what happened was the state said they were going to build a new highway through our dairy. And I lived right next to our dairy when I grew up right next to it. And so my father started to notice customers didn't want milk delivered to their house anymore. Now, there's a little bit of resurgence of that today, but I don't think it'll any momentum to it. But people didn't want milk delivered, so my father, as he was out delivering milk, started talking to them, and they all said, we'd rather go to the farm, we'd rather go to where the milk's bottled fresh right in front of us and buy it there at a great price. So what he did was he opened this little tiny dairy store up right here in 1969, borrowed all sorts of money. To this day, still holds the records for the largest loan for the Small Business Administration of $482,000. They loaned him money, the banks loaned him money, built this little store, and what the idea was going to be here was he was going to sell real fresh products. So when you came in, you'd get real fresh stuff. Great price, you're going to be competitive on the price, and real friendly type of people. You know, matter of fact, there was a little sign at the front entrance, and it said, we want you happy. It said, if you're ever not satisfied with the product, quick as a flash, we'll refund your money 100%. And I remember one of the bankers, when they came in, said, you can't do that, you know, just without asking questions, just give customers their product back. My father said, I want everybody 100% happy with what they buy. And that was really the philosophy that I grew up with. And I remember even I was standing in the store one day, and I had the store packed full. My brother and I actually were the main stock boys when we opened in '69. And I remember the store was full. I went over to my father. I said, Dad, look, the store's loaded. What do you want me to do now? Any extra stuff? He said, Stu, why don't you go in the store and just ask customers what they think of shopping here? And I said, won't they get mad at me or something if, won't I be interrupting them? He said, no, go ahead and do it. And I started going up to customers, and the thing I found, they loved it when someone asked them what they thought of shopping in the store. They loved people to ask what their opinion is. So we've sort of taken that little concept and built it into focus groups and suggestion boxes and all sorts of vehicles to get data and information from our customers about what they think of shopping at Stew's. So those were just a few of the little backbones. Over the 25-year period since it opened, we've put 24 additions on. That's more than almost an addition a year. And that's why I was asked to stick to customer service and stuff and not get into any issues like strategic planning, But that little store, that grew to be this today. With all these, now we're into fish and meat and produce, and my sister went to France to get her master's in French, which we weren't that excited about because we wanted her to work, So she goes over there, she comes back from France in the late 70s, and she wants to come and work in the store. And we said, oh boy, and she said, yeah, I want to start a little bakery. And we're like, a bakery? And she said, yeah, I learned how to make French butter croissants because the family she lived with were bakers in France. And so my father and brother, we didn't even know what croissants were at the time. And so we got a little old used pizza oven for her. And we put a card table up in the store with one of the covers on it, what are the table covers? And then little sign, hot croissants, Bethy's Bakery, Well, you couldn't keep these things coming out of the oven fast enough. I mean, it was just a hot, great item, and it started growing and growing and growing. Now my sister's bakeries right now do about $200,000 a week, in sales. And you know, there's some good money in the bakery business. You know? So we're so proud of our sister now, you know, and what she did with the bakery. And what's funny is when we built the bakery, the only place we had it was at the beginning of the store. And so that's sort of why it was there, just because there was a little space for it, and that's where it grew onto it. And today we get all these consultants walking into the store, and they tell us, very, very clever. And we say, what? You know, they said, you did a tremendous amount of research because the smell of the bakery gets the customer like that when they walk in the front door. We go, yeah, you know, we really spent a lot of time analyzing that, you know. What we did in the mid-'80s was my brother, we had some property in Danbury. We were going to open up a store. One day, it was just before Thanksgiving, he said, let's sell Christmas trees up there. So we said, fine. So we just got a bulldozer, leveled a lot, put some tents up, and we started selling Christmas trees. And then all of a sudden, that thing built, we kept the tent up all winter. We started selling produce, and then the next summer we started selling some frozen meat and some milk, and we added all these different products. We were doing $400,000 a week out of a tent. And then we built our store right next to it, and here's a picture of our store up in Danbury that we built. And we literally built a tent and then built this big store, and the day we went to open the store, we just put a big sign on the front of the tent that said, "New entrance." You know? And, you know, the customers walked in. Isn't that interesting? So we built a second store. My brother Tommy's up there every day. We haven't gone wild on expansion. We're not. We don't want to be the biggest. You know, we like to be in the stores, and we like the business, and so we don't want to lose control of it at all. So we just have 2 stores. We'll probably have a third one in a few more years. But here's a half-gallon of eggnog right here. This was a lesson that we all learned. I brought one with me, too. But this was, one day I said to my father, I said, how did you get so ferocious about the customer? I said, where did that ever come from? He said, Stu, I was standing in the store one day, and a customer walked in with a half-gallon of eggnog. We just opened. She walked up to me, and she said, I don't like this eggnog. And my dad says, you know, my feelings were hurt when she said that. I mean, this is our pride and joy. This is a family recipe that goes back to the 20s. He said, so I said to her, ma'am, what don't you like about it? And she said, I don't like the taste. She said, it just doesn't taste right. He said, ma'am, let me taste some of that and see if it's okay. So he went to open it up and started to pour a little in a cup. And she said, did you hear what I said? I said, I don't like the eggnog, and my husband agrees. I want my money back. And my father said, well, let me just taste a little bit and see, you know, what. She said, did you hear me? And she started getting real mad. I want my money back. So my father was like, wow, is she hot? And so he reached in his pocket, he just took out a dollar bill, handed it to her, and he said, ma'am, I'm awful sorry. And she took 3 steps away and flailed the dollar bill at him and said something he'll never forget. She said, I'm never coming back to this store again. And she walked out. My father walks back over to Barry, who was our manager in the store, and he said, Barry, what did we just spend 3 hours working on this morning? And Barry said, trying to build up sales. He said, you know, I just lost a customer. Forever. And he told Barry the story, and at that time my father decided that what he was going to do was come up with a philosophy in the business where the customer was never wrong. Ever. They were always going to be right. Matter of fact, right after this Thanksgiving, we had a customer bring back turkey bones and told us that the turkey she bought was dry. You know what we did? There you go, ma'am. Give her a refund for it. We'll get people, we have a big garden center. We'll get people come in, $300 worth of trees and shrubs and all this stuff. Didn't grow. It died. You know, we'll just refund the money, $300. You know, no questions, but keep that customer happy. You know, now we get burned a little bit at the store, but the philosophy is make sure them happy and just watch the sales keep going up. Now, What we did, we put a 6,000-pound rock right at the front entrance of the store. Here's our first rule. Rule 1, the customer is always right. I mean, that's the customer's always right. Then we put a rule 2 on it, which is if the customer is ever wrong, go back, reread rule number 1. I mean, that's the philosophy at the store. The customer is always right. We had a situation at the store when we train people. We look at our customers spending about $100 a week, and I know Bill LaPerch, if you figured it out, you probably spend more than that. But we added that up, that's $5,000 a year, and over the course of a 10-year period, that's $50,000. $50,000. So when we do our training at the store, we envision each customer, like in Magic Marker, they have a big $50,000 on their forehead. Don't mess with that $50,000 customer. I mean, that's the philosophy. Now, here's Maria with a customer who brings in a coupon that says, this was last March, it says that if you spend over $3 in the store, you get a free half-gallon of ice cream. Maria looks at this coupon. She'd never seen anything like it before. And you know, our average sale now is about $60. So this little $3 is nothing, you know, but she gives the customer the free half-gallon of ice cream anyway. Customer leaves happy. She walks around the building with this little coupon and says, has anybody ever seen these? And Ray Flewellen, who runs our dairy plant, he's been there over 40 years, he said, yeah, I remember that coupon. He said, when we first opened the store in 1969, we put that coupon in the paper to try to build up our average sale. He said, that thing is like almost 25 years old. Wow. So Maria, next time she sees the customer in the store, she goes over to her and she said, ma'am, I just got to ask you, where did you get this? And she said, oh, I was cleaning my mom's attic out. She said, I write a column for a local newspaper. She said, I just wanted to test you guys. She said, I'm writing a little story for the newspaper about how you refunded a 25-year-old coupon. Well, within about a week, not only did it show up in the local papers, it was also on the front page, a little blurb on the Wall Street Journal. How much would you pay to get a little spot on the front page of the Wall Street Journal? So the way we always look at every single customer interaction that we have, we take a really long-term view on it. As long as we can go out in at least 10 years. You know, we just say we want that customer happy. One thing we do now when we ever do coupons in the paper, we use expiration dates. Now here's a story that happened. We're just, we have a bunch of chefs in a big kitchen. We sell about 40 tons of prepared food every single week out of our kitchens. And you scoop it up just like the buffet line that you eat off of here at the hotel. But anyway, one day our chef gets a phone call on a Saturday from a customer that she's having a very light lunch for a dozen women on Sunday afternoon. And she would like to order some lasagna and some salad. So the chef, no problem, I'll have a pan of lasagna, a pan of salad ready for you. You just come over and pick it up on Sunday. And he said, ma'am, how many people are going to be there? And she said, 12. He said, I think you should get a little bit more. No, she said, that's all I want. She said, it's a light luncheon for women. They're not going to eat much. The food's ready Sunday. She drives home happy. About 12:30 Sunday afternoon, a frantic phone call comes into the store, and our chef George is off. But Bob, up in the kitchen, this lady's screaming at him. Why didn't Chef George recommend more food? I got the 12 women, I'm running out of food. What am I going to do? Bob said, ma'am, I'll drive the food over to your house. He gets her address, he puts another pan of lasagna and some salad, drives it over to her house, walks in, lays it on her dining room table. She opens up her checkbook, she's all happy now, goes to write a check. You know what Bob says? Ma'am, I'm sorry for the inconvenience. It's on the house. You know, I wouldn't have done that. But I don't want him that happy. You know. But you know, one of the things we do when we back up is we're going to empower our people to make decisions to make customers happy, whatever they are. We've done some dumb things. But the thing is get them happy. And we'll figure the rest of it out later. So anyway, Bob comes back, we make him hero of the week, and you know, make him a big superstar and everything. And I get a letter about 4 days later from this customer. And she writes about how nice Bob was, and it was her fault, and she's so happy, and this and that. And then down at the bottom, she said, you know who these 12 women were that I was having a party for? She said they were 12 new real estate agents to the area. She said, do you know what we did after lunch? We drove down and went shopping at Stew's. She said, I had to show them the store. And then she wrote, don't be surprised if when they sell a house, they also sell Stew's. How much was that lasagna and salad worth? You know, it was nothing. So everything done nice for a customer gets rewarded. You know, we just close our eyes like that. One of the things too, we have on a busy Saturday, just in each store, we'll have over 100 cashiers. You know, just to make sure we have about 35 checkout lines, and we want to make sure people don't wait in line. That's one thing in our business. I have never met a customer yet that came up and said, hey, thanks for making me wait here. It's been a tough day, you know. So we want to rush them right out. And one thing, I speak to our new cashiers when they're hired, and I go into our meetings. We have monthly communication meetings with every department. But when I speak at the cashiers, I always tell them, let customers leave without paying. And they all are usually blown away when I first mention that. But then I tell them that there are about 50 customers a week that get to the registers, they go, oops, forgot my wallet, or they go to open up their checkbook and their spouse ripped out their last check on them and didn't tell them, and they have no money. It's an opportunity to win that customer for life. So what the idea is let them leave without paying. You know, we get their name and address from them. And you know how many times we've been burned by that? They've never come back to pay? Zero. Zero. They've never done that. Usually instead what we do is get a glowing letter from the customer. Thanks for trusting me. I just moved into the area, or I forgot my checkbook, or I really needed the food, or whatever it was. And you win that customer for life. Now here's something that just happened before Thanksgiving. Is Dodie comes up to me. Dodie does our samples and our demos in the bakery. She's standing in the bakery just before Thanksgiving. A man and his wife come walking up to her, and they said, you know what, we're just getting ready to get on a plane to fly to California. We're heading down to JFK Airport. And before we went, we wanted to make a nice turkey dinner up and eat it on the plane. And they said, look, we got the turkey, sliced turkey, we got mashed potatoes, gravy, cranberry sauce, the whole deal, no pumpkin pie. They said, don't you just sell pieces of pumpkin pie? And Dodie said, no, we only sell a whole pie over here. He said, no, I just wanted the piece of pumpkin pie. She said, just a minute. She goes in the back, cuts a piece of pumpkin pie for him, wraps it up, gives it to him. Thank you very much. She said, it's on the house. Customer leaves elated, walks out. A few minutes later, comes back in, walks up to Dodie and says, you know what? My wife and I were just talking, and we gave you the impression that we were relocating to California. He said, we're just getting on a plane to fly out there to collect up our things. He said, we're relocating back here. He said, one thing we want to tell you, we're never going to shop anyplace else because of that piece of pumpkin pie. You know, what did the piece of pumpkin pie? I had some other people from a food chain coming through. I was showing them through the store, Fresh Fields. I don't know if any of you heard it. One of the guys says, yeah, that's a good philosophy because pumpkin pie, that doesn't cost very much. He said, yeah, the pumpkin pie is cheap. The hard part is getting people like Dodie, you know, spend the money on training and philosophy and attitude to get Dodie to do stuff like that. Dodie just was our hero of the week during Thanksgiving. I love that story too. Tom Peters comes into the store one day and, you know, to look around. We had the store really packed, looking good. Showed him all around the store. And, we figure he writes these books in search of excellence, passion for excellence, great best-selling author on quality and customer service. He doesn't get excited about food at all. I mean, it was, he walked through, you could tell he doesn't shop. So we get to the front entrance, and I said to him, I said, Tom, I said, we really busted our butt to get this store looking like perfect for you. I said, when I go back after you leave, I said, I got to tell him like something. I said, what excited you the most about your visit? And you know what he said? The Rock. So I'm like, The Rock? He said, yeah, that big rock. Rule 1, the customer's always right. Rule 2, what a philosophy. He said, that gets me excited. So he leaves. 6 managers literally jump me when I walk back in the store. What did he think? What did he think? I said, I hate to tell you, but you know what he got psyched about? The Rock, I mean, he didn't do backflips over your big meat display that you had or anything. He loved The Rock. And Mike Daravan, he's been with us about 15 years, he said, Stu, I got an idea. He said, why don't we get little miniature rocks made to sell in the store? He said, rocks, we don't even sell them. So we're like, that's sort of like a neat idea, So we got a prototype done of these little miniature rocks, with the Rule 1, Rule 2 on them. And I'm all excited. Tom Peters starts writing about The Rock in some articles and books and stuff. So Murray Rackoff, who's our little rock guy, he finally comes in. He says, Stu, look, prototype's done, all this stuff. He said, ready to go on it. So I said, let me send this up to Tom Peters. I FedEx it to him. I said, Tom, what do you think? We're thinking of getting this done. I get a handwritten note back from him, and it says, Stu, as soon as you get them made, send me 100. P.S. I don't care what they cost. I read that. I said, I've been looking for an item like this all my life, This is it, I'm thinking catalogs, I sell them to department stores, wow, retire on rocks And so I call a rock guy, I said, get over here right away, we got to order these things. He comes in, he's got a purchase order laid out. He said, Stu, the only thing I got to know, how many you want? And so I said, why don't we start out with like 500? I said, we'll just run it up the flagpole, let's see how they sell. If they sell good, I'll reorder. He said, Stu, look, this is custom mold, custom material. He said, if you only order 500, he said, they're going to be almost 20 bucks a piece. 20 bucks? He said, I can't sell, $20 rocks next to milk 79 cents a half gallon, I said, Murray, I can't, that's too high. And so he said, well, look, Stu, I could get them to you for a little under 10 bucks if you order 5,000. So I'm sitting there and I'm saying, geez, Tom Peters, one customer, I already sold 100. I said, and 5,000, that's only 10 times more than 500. It's not that bad. So I get all excited about it, sign the purchase order. One day the rocks arrive in the store. I go back, help them unload the truck, bring them out, build this display. Miniature replica to big rock, $9.95 each. Figure just put them out and get customers excited about it and everything. Now, how many people here figured that these things were a home run item as soon as we put them in? Pretty sharp group. I wish I spoke to you before I ordered these. These things didn't sell slow, they sold like no. I mean, I was amazed, nobody wanted them. And I mean, they're looking at them and stuff. I tried moving the display around the store, it didn't work at all. And I'm starting to sweat it out now. I go up to our cafeteria for coffee, and a few of our managers are there, and they holler out, hey, Stu, we just figured it out. You have 17.2 years of rock inventory, left. So finally, what I do what any retailer would do, and I take, and you instantly do this blockbuster thing that works. You take the rocks and you put them up with a big sign, rocks, buy 2, get 1 free. Okay? Buy 2, get 1 free. Customers love that. When I put that sign in front of the rocks, I learned a lifelong lesson in sales and marketing that I'll never forget. What that lesson is that if customers don't want 1, They don't want 3. So now I don't know what to do. One day I went out to UCLA. I had a lot of Japanese were in my class, and one of the professors wants to bring a tour of Japanese through the store. 2 big shiny buses pull up one day. Over 100 Japanese get off, tour the store. Guess what they flipped out over? You got it? They bought over 200 rocks and off to Japan. So I said to the store managers, get the rock display out of the store until you see a group of these visitors come on tour at Stew Leonard's. Let me show you. I got a group of here we go. Here's a group of the Japanese that come to visit. That's the only time you see a rock display. Now, you want to see something exciting that happened? We had one of these Japanese come up, and they not only bought rocks, one of them bought ketchup. We have a Stew Leonard's ketchup that we sell at the store. He bought a bottle of our Stew Leonard's ketchup. Do you know what we just did 2 weeks ago? We signed a deal with the Japanese. They just ordered 480,000 bottles of our ketchup. We even put all the nutritional stuff in Japanese. I don't even know what it says. Now they're buying ketchup. Here's the group that did it. I can hardly believe it. They came into the store, ketchup. I mean, we'll be on the shelves probably within about another week or 2 with Stew's ketchup. I mean, who knows? I love the Japanese now, you know. Here's something that's real important to us at the store. This is our suggestion box. What we want to do is get lots of ideas. We talk with the managers, walk around the store, ask customers a lot of questions. Every morning by 10 o'clock, we get all our customer notes typed up. And so they're all typed up by department. We make 50 photocopies of them. We hand them out to everybody. And it basically gives you ideas of what are the customers saying about shopping at Stew's. We only carry 1,000 items at our store versus like 50 to 100,000 at most supermarkets. So like our customers must shop our competitors. They must do it. So we look at that as good. I mean, they're almost like intelligence sources. They get to see what the competitors are doing and then write us. And this is just what'll happen. We get over 100 notes a day in each store. And we'll just write them, type them all down. And then every Thursday morning we go over them. And customers give you all sorts of great ideas. Some of the ones are product ideas too. Here's one customer writes in, and they say, I've always wasted half of my corn muffins because I only eat the tops and throw the bottoms away. Have you ever thought about selling corn muffin tops? You know? It's probably a great customer from Washington, D.C. But so Zita in the bakery reads the note, and one of the things we're doing is do it, try it, get it going. Let's try it for a week. You know, don't ask questions. You know, same thing John was talking about. So Zita in the bakery starts noodling around a little bit, takes a flat tray that she makes cookies on, and dumps the corn muffin batter. And she puts them in the oven and like makes corn muffin pancakes. But she puts them out in the store packaged. New item, corn muffin tops. You know what our best-selling muffin in the bakery is now? Corn muffin tops. It's incredible. I mean, that's a customer idea. You know, one lady even grabbed me one day in the bakery. She said, you know, I'm concerned about wasting food. She said, what do you do with the bottoms? You know? But you know, this is the kind of thing at the store we'll applaud. You know, it's the kind of thing you take an idea and you try it and it works. You know? Another thing, we go out to the food shows every year and we talk to the shopping cart manufacturers, and the one thing that they've always told us is the bigger the shopping cart in the food store, the larger your average sale will grow. So the idea is give customers lots of space to put lots of food and you'll sell more. Give them little hand baskets and your sales will go down. So we kept ordering these bigger carts, and it was working like magic until we ordered the jumbo carts from them, which you see here. We didn't make our aisles any wider, but we put the jumbo carts in. We started getting notes like this. What happened to your shopping carts? Not all of your customers like to do their shopping with a Mack truck. Another customer wrote, I just test drove one of your new shopping carts. So now we have 2-size shopping carts at the store. But we get all sorts of good ideas from customers through the suggestion box. Another way we get ideas, we have focus groups. Every month, we do them ourselves in-house. We invite 12 customers in that we see in the store. We look for heavy users, you know, they're mostly women. I tried doing them with men, you know, but forget it. You know, the only good idea I got from men was to put the Oreos next to the milk, you know, in the store. But, you know, our customers, women, you know, that's pretty much our customer. So we invite them in the store. Most of them have kids. They use competitors' ads. They're price conscious. And we ask them, what do you think of shopping at Stew's? And we look for ideas, you know, from them. You know, we've even done it. We've just tried it with caterers and just had caterers come in and just talk to them about how we could do better for catering their parties, not ours. But so we get all sorts of good ideas. I think probably one of the best ideas that ever came out of it was a customer stood up in there and she said, I hate your fish. And we said, you know, what do you hate our fish for? She said, because it's packaged. She said, it's in these packaged boats, you know, right here. Hold on, let me see these packaged boats. She said, with plastic wrap over it. She said, just like the supermarkets, it's not fresh. So our fish guy stood up who was there, because we invite our managers into these. He said, ma'am, he said, you know, I buy the fish. He said, it's fresh. He said, we get it fresh every morning from the Fulton Fish Market in New York and the Boston Piers. It's fresh. And she said, no, I don't buy my fish packaged. And he said, well, then how do you buy it? And she said, I go to a little store and get it fresh off the crushed ice. And he said, you mean the way you think of fish is that it's fresher if it's on crushed ice? And she said, yeah. So what we did, we set up an ice bar in the store, laid the exact same product at the exact same price that was packaged. And now we had 2 fish displays. You know what happened to fish sales? They went from 15,000 pounds a week to over 30,000 pounds just by going loose, you know? And when we talked to Gary Matheson, who was the fish manager, he said, I don't know if I like that idea too much, he said, because it's going to cannibalize our packaged fish sales. And he said, we're going to end up selling the same amount of fish. He said, but our margins are going to go down because we're going to have to put labor and have a hostess there and all that. But what we said to him was, hey, Gary, let's try it for a week. You know, so we tried it and it worked. Another thing, a customer stood up, I hate your strawberries. We said, why? She said, because they're packaged. And so we looked at them, sure, they were packaged. You know, packaged strawberries. And so she said, I never buy them like that. And we said, how do you buy them? She said, well, I go to a little farmer's market. She said, I can see they come in from the boxes right from California. She said, I get to pick my own strawberries. She said, they are fresh. So we said, ma'am, you know, we get the same strawberries. I mean, direct from California, they're probably fresher. I said, we just package them to make it easier for you. You know what she said? She said, it's easier for us, I said. It's easier for us to package them. She said, I don't care what's easier for you. I like to pick my own strawberries. So we built this big loose strawberry display. Hey, could I go back one slide, please, to the loose strawberries? I hope I can do this. I don't know if I can. Here, hey, great. Thank you. So we build this big loose display of strawberries. Dave Peden, our produce manager, don't do it, don't do it. And why, Dave? He said, customers are going to just go up and start eating strawberries right off the shelves. He said, our shrinkage is going to go way up. He said, oh, what a nightmare. You know, we got to have people out there filling it. Hey, Dave, let's try it for a week. So we tried it for a week. Dave was right. Our shrinkage went way up, but our sales tripled on strawberries. People love to pick their own strawberries. You know, it was just the customer's idea. And so we started going loose around the store like mad. Loose pistachio nuts. Customers, you know, they're eating them and they're filling these huge bags of pistachios up. I mean, pistachio nut sales went way up. So we go loose in the store as much as we can. And it works great. The only person we were having problems with is Julius, who's in charge of our security. Here he is, right here. And he comes up to me, he's like shaking mad one day, and I said, Jules, sit down, cool off. I said, we could work it out. Tell me what happened. He said, Stu, I was walking through the store. He said, and there was a customer who walked over to the strawberry display, picked up a big handful, walked over to her shopping cart, which was filled with kids, and just started handing these strawberries out like it was snack time. He said, so I walked over and I said, ma'am, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to like eat the strawberries like that. He said, I don't mind if you taste one, but you just can't go like eat them, you know, in the store. And I said, Jules, I mean, it sounds like you handled that perfectly. I said, what are you so mad about? He said, Stu, do you know what she said to me? And I said, what? He said, she told me to go read The Rock at the front entrance. The customer is right, you know. You know, one of the other things we work on at the store is the wow, which is excitement, you know, and trying to create what we call a wow. And we want to make the store fun, because most of the people you talk to about food shopping, it's boring. So we try to make it fun. One way we do that is we have these costume characters walking around. I mean, these are like Wow the cow, Daphne the duck, Cynthia the chick. They walk around and entertain the kids in the store. They love it. And you know, Paul Newman, we were the first store to ever sell his salad dressing, and he developed the recipe right at Stew Leonard's when he first kicked it off, because he lives right in town. One day, you know, we go to a little lunch with him every year, and we were having problems with these characters because they were scaring the kids. The little kids around 1, 2 years old are scared of the cow. And so we said to him, we said, is there any like acting schools or something you can send these characters to? And he said, Stu, the only lesson you have to give them is to do whatever the kid does. And I said, what do you mean? He said, well, if the kid is scared of Wow the cow, tell Wow the cow to get scared, you know, and go back like this. If the kid wants to jump up and down and hug Wow the cow, he said, have Wow the cow go crazy in front of him. So what we've done is we've done that with our characters at the store. That's the only training they get, and they're bouncing around the store like mad. You see this little kid right here. Look how happy that little boy is. You know, and that's what when the kids are happy, the mom's happy. And the mom's the one that spends the money. Here's a great customer of yours, I know, Don Soderquist from Walmart. He called up one day, he said, Stu, I want to come and visit the store. And I'm like, wow, that's great, you know, come on in. And he said, I'm flying into LaGuardia Airport, and I'm going to rent a car. And I said, you know what, Don, because we've gone out to visit them, and other of his people have been back. I said, I know how Walmart is real fanatics on expenses. I said, I'll pick you up at the airport so you can save the rental car expense. And so he said, okay. Now, when he walked off the plane, I was standing there in a cow outfit, dancing like this. And guess what he said when he walked off the plane? He looked at the cow and went, wow. You know? And that's what we look for, is trying to create that wow all the time at the store. We have an animation show. We call them the Farm Fresh 5. They're 5 characters. They just sing like, we're the Farm Fresh 5, how do you do? And they sing songs all day long in the store, and the little kids are like, wow, wow. They're mesmerized by this. Here's a little button. You push the button. And this is my oldest daughter, Blake. I have 3 girls at home. But you push the button, and the cow head lifts up and goes, moo. You know, like that. The kids love this thing. The parents love it. Barbara Bush came to the store to visit one time. She pushed this thing 5 times. Secret Service was all over the eyes and the nose and checking the whole thing out. Everybody loves it. Now here's our shopping bag right here. This is, we hand hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these out every week. But this is our shopping bag. One day, Colleen Blanchard comes to our store, and she says, you know what, I just went to Russia. She said, and I brought one of my shopping bags. She said, I've shopped here since the day you opened, even delivered milk. And she said, I was in Russia, and I got this picture of me holding one of your bags. And here you go. So what do you do when a great customer gives you a picture of themselves in a bag? We just took and thumbtacked it up on the wall of the store, And underneath, a great customer, Colleen Blanchard, visits Russia holding a Stew Leonard's bag. 5 weeks go by, the Mulhollands come up, and they say, you know what, we just went to China. They said, and guess what we did? They said, we brought a Stew Leonard's bag with us, and look at the picture that we have right here. So we said, wow, thanks, Mr. and Mrs. Mulholland. We thumbtacked that up on the wall in the store. Then we all of a sudden got this one in from Africa. Then we knew we were onto something when this one came in one day right here. And then a friend of ours came to the store and he brought us a picture, this one right here. And so we were excited and we thought he's a photographer and he transposed this bag onto Armstrong. We thumbtacked it up on the store wall. I was walking through the store. This guy who was in his 80s grabbed me. He's looking at this picture right here, and he says to me, he says, you know what? He said, I waited all my life to watch a man land on the moon. It was a dream since I was a kid. And he said, I sat glued to my TV during the moon landing. He said, you know, at my age, I only had to get up and go to the bathroom once. He said, is that when Armstrong pulled out the Stew Leonard's bag? We started a whole wall now of bags around the world. We have customers, we have over 20,000 pictures of customers now. When they go on their summer vacations and they bring a bag with them, they take a picture, we thumbtack it up on the wall. I mean, we have a whole wall of bags, scrapbooks full of bags, and we give each customer a $3 gift certificate. Now, a lot of you probably say, $3? You know, that's all you give them just to get a picture taken? I mean, you know, that doesn't sound like much of an incentive. Well, I know that this even works with MCI because look what came in to the store right here. John sends a picture, you know, holding the Stew Leonard's bag. And you know what? I forgot to bring my $3 gift certificate. You know what I'm going to give John instead? No, and some ketchup. You know what? I just want to share one thing with you. I know John talked about it. I spoke one time for MCI before, and when I was coming out on the plane, I was sort of looking up the plane there, and I saw this guy standing up there, and you know, he had all his gold jewelry and stuff on, and I said to the stewardess, who is it? They said, Emmett Smith. So I'm like, Emmett Smith, no kidding. And so I sort of squeezed through the aisles there and rush up, and right on that plank there where you walk off the plane, I went up to him and I said, you know, I had my camera and my bag, you know, ready to go. And I said, excuse me, Mr. Smith. I said, I'm a big fan. Could I get a picture of you? You know, and me holding the bag. I said, we'll hang it up in our store. I'll be so proud of it. No pictures. You know, I'm like, whoa. You know, so he's walking up and I catch up to him again and I said, you know, excuse me, would you mind if I just got like a picture of you and me with no bag because I thought it might have been too commercial or something. He looked over, he said, no pictures. And so I caught up to him a little further. I said, could I just take a picture of you just to bring back to show like our people that I saw you out here? And he looked at me, he said, didn't I tell you no pictures? Taylor comes up and he looks out at the audience and he says, you know what? He said, I have a treat for everybody. He said, after dinner, he said, we've hired Emmett Smith to come and take pictures with all of you, you know? And I'm sitting there, yes. So I went up to Mr. Taylor and I said, excuse me, would you do me a favor? I said, you think I could get a picture of me and Emmett Smith holding the bag, you know? So here it is, right here. And every time I look at this, I think of one thing, and that's persistence. I mean, you get an idea, you want to try something, so many people tell you it can't be done. You can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. And the thing is, if you keep pounding away, it can be done. You know, and that's I always look at that and think of that one thing. You know, I had such a great time being with all of you today. I wish you all the best when we're rocking 4th of July selling hamburger patties and hamburger buns. You know, I'm going to think about you guys coming online with the whole system and everything. I wish you the best of luck. You're a great company. And if you ever get to Connecticut, we're 1 hour from New York City. I'd love to have you visit. Thanks for inviting me here. So long.